Hello, my name is Nettie and welcome back to episode 3 of This Too Is Healing. So I've got my guests, Emma and Adam, with me today, and we're having some interesting conversations about menopause and about brain and about burnout and everything. So this is really good. I'm glad you two are just a brilliant guest together. So we're going to talk about relationships, and I know this is a really specialist subject for you, but also coming at it from menopausal kind of side as well, and how we are affected in menopause with relationships, because I think it affects everything. It affects our relationships with our children. It affects our relationships with our work colleagues, with our partners and wives and husbands, etc., etc. So it's a big subject, I think. And that's when also at that phase of life, so around your 40s and 50s, a lot of women leave their long-term partners and kind of blow it all out the water. So what's your thoughts on, we'll start with you, Emma, and then we'll just kind of let it naturally flow.
Well, you're totally right there that actually the main time when divorce happens, I suppose, because that's easier statistics, is during that age, menopause. Now, whether it's the woman or the man who push for it, I'm probably likely to feel that it's more the woman. Partly because I suppose they've decided that either to hell with it all, because a lot of women will say, that's it, I've had it now. I'm going to do things because I want to. I'm not going to be anymore doing what I should be doing. Lots of women feel more liberated. But so I think that's partly could be the reason that they've realised that they were in a marriage or a relationship that that wasn't actually working. And rather than putting up with it anymore, they decided, no, that's it. They wanted to move on. But also, I think at the same point, the reason they perhaps get there as well is because of our hormones. So our estrogen and testosterone, especially during that time, affect our libido and our desires, and affect our mood and our emotions, and we're confused and we're lost and everything like that. But the fact that it really turns us off wanting to have an intimacy and closeness, I think can really affect, well, it does affect, you need that intimacy and closeness, I think, for a relationship. Also, with estrogen especially, that it dries you up. So you will get your dry vagina, perhaps, and there's nothing worse than painful sex. And that will put you off. And I know it's like, my partner was like really concerned because he didn't want to hurt me and everything like that. So then you'd back off, and then you're not making love. And then I'm thinking, why does he not want to make love to me? And not realizing he's protecting me and looking after me. And so then it becomes, then you ruminate about it, and it becomes this big spiral. Let alone the fact you're perhaps not even fancying your partner the way you used to. So I think that's probably, the intimacy has got a lot to do with it. So it's coming from all sorts of different routes.
It does come from different angles, because of course I suppose it depends as well how long you've been together, maybe when you met, how early on in your lifetime you met, because some people have met in their early 20s, and the person that you were in your early 20s and then into your 40s, I feel like you're a different person. You feel like a different person. I know for sure I do. And the choices you made then are maybe not of the choices that you would have made now, if you see what I mean. And then you add hormones and everything changing on top of that. And also that stage of life where you have, as a woman, brought up your children, and they've got to a stage where they're now leaving home, and you're doing your mother thing, and then suddenly you're not doing your mother thing because they're not there anymore.
So empty nest. And then also you could be caring for your parents. And then your job as well.
And then doing everything on top of it. I think you get to a point, and you get more confident on speaking your truth as well as you get older, as you turn, the things that you wouldn't have said years ago, you're starting to say them now. And then add menopause on top of that, and the other person only needs to breathe in the wrong direction.
Oh, gotcha.
And that irritates you.
Well, why are you eating that way?
Really?
Really?
Eating
Do you
loud.
really need to?
Just don't walk in the room. Poor old Adam sat there thinking, oh my God.
Am I breathing right? Through the nose. Through the nose.
But of course, you're coming at from an angle because you are a new dad.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're at the stage where our children, we've done bringing up our children and now helping bringing up grandchildren.
Yeah.
So we're at that stage.
Well, first of all, well done helping bring up the grandchildren. As a new parent, that is a godsend.
Grandparents
if
are great.
My in-laws are listening, please take note.
I know. Yeah. Well, I have my granddaughters. They come 3 days a week, so I have big involvement with my grandchildren.
Good on you, and it's very good for them.
It is good for them, I think, to also for them to see, because of course I don't feel like a grandparent. I don't look like a grandparent, maybe like what you would imagine a grandparent to look
like
years
your
ago.
grandparents,
I'm a granny, and I definitely don't behave like one. And also, they watch me. They're watching me get changed into my uniform and things, you know, because they're at my house most mornings having breakfast and before school, because their school's close to my house. So they come to my house and then go to school from my house. So they have breakfast at my house and they're watching me get my uniform on. They're watching me get all my stuff done for social media. They're watching me work. They're watching me doing 13, 14-hour shifts. They're seeing me at the end of that. So they're seeing a grandparent that is maybe very different to their sort of stereotypical grandparent.
Which is lovely, but I don't think it's nowadays something else which comes into the whole relationships thing is that society has changed.
Yeah.
Whereas you're very lucky having your family, your children close to you to be able to do that. My daughter lives in Australia.
Oh,
so
wow.
I am a grandparent. Thank God for internet and
you're a remote grandparent.
Yeah, I'm a remote grandparent. But we speak most days, but it's very different. And I think that can be quite isolating unless you were talking about community and earlier and about relationships and how important that is. And if you haven't got those relationships, you're helping to model good family relationships. And, 20, 40 years ago, everyone lived in the same road almost, didn't they? The whole family, or even in the same house. And that doesn't happen so much. So it's about finding new communities, I think. Yeah, have you seen the Blue Zones? Did you see that?
No, I'm not
so
process.
Netflix, the Blue Zones, I can't remember who it is, but basically there are 5 key towns in the world where the longevity is, you've got loads of centenarians in these towns and cities.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And why is it? And one of the key elements is community. Is they thrive. They spend a lot of time. So I think one of the places is in China. So they spend a lot of time visiting their neighbours and doing gardening together. Another place is in Sardinia where they'll get together and have the meals around the table and spend hours doing that. And so it's about the community. And so, when what you were saying earlier, I think it's really, really important for our relationships.
We know loneliness is one of the biggest killers.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So from a young family, because you're at a different stage to what we're at, and we're sort of talking about relationships. How is it as a young dad? Having how is it? How are you doing?
It's funny, listen, you talking about the journey women go through to get to menopause and the different roles they wear. I feel like the modern family is increasingly becoming that way. Quite often you'll have 2 parents who either one works full time and one almost works full time, and they may not have extended family around them. So the cognitive load on that family is huge, yet they have to occupy more roles. And I feel like my generation in particular, there's a huge crossover between modern motherhood and modern fatherhood in terms of sharing the load. Don't get me wrong, there's still individual differences. Like there's some things that only a mother can do, and there's things that tend to be fathers. Like the introduction to social play is usually a father's role. And what that does for us is once you occupy new roles, going back to what I said about identity and mental health and things, is you then take on a new identity. And we were talking about well, we didn't say companionship, but companionship is the thing that comes to mind. And we have to engage in shared experiences for what we're alluding to is how marriages survive into old age. And the ones that survive, I haven't lived it, I've only read about it, but is those who share the experiences. And it's not just sharing the load. Sharing the load's fine, but you can get through that through gritted teeth. It's making sure you reconnect. One of the things me and my wife are currently trying to do more of is having date nights again. Because our son is
really important. Yeah.
You know, just last week we went to a cafe and just played board games, the two of us. It's the most fun I had in a long time. Don't get me wrong, I love spending time with my son, but it's nice to reconnect with her.
Yeah, it is.
And
Essential.
And, you know, you said once they get to, was it 55, you said the divorce rate goes through the roof. I wonder if it's because these roles haven't been looked at in a reflective way. How do we not only have our own identities, but how do we create a shared identity together that we are a couple, we are in a relationship, we are a marriage, you know. These things don't just happen. You know, it's I think when you're in a high stress environment or a high demand environment like parenthood, it's easy to go, well, just get through it and then everything will be fine. But once you get through, you're like, I have no idea how to get back to where we were.
And who are you?
And who am I?
Yeah, that's right. And you've changed anyways because you've been through all of that. Everything's changed.
And as you were saying, you know, being a parent, you know, you change significantly when you first become a parent. And then even more so when if you have a second child, then that, you know, that's proven in the brain as well that changes again.
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got all these key points where you do change and you're not the person that you first were with when you, like you were saying, when you met the person you fell in love with. You know, and you forget because you get so used to just doing the day to day and getting by, like you're saying, that you forget actually to enjoy each other, you know, and doing things together.
And, you know, one of the hardest things to do, and I'm speaking from a male perspective, is showing vulnerability.
Yeah.
But it's also very important because it's something I consciously try to do and I find it tricky. But when I do it, the outcomes are exponentially better. It doesn't mean it goes smoothly every single time. And sometimes you could be met with, why do you think like that? And I was like, oh, I don't actually know now. But the long term, it means that they understand your thinking. By understanding your thinking, they understand a bit more about your feelings. By understanding your feelings, they can connect better because they can go, if he feels like that when he says this, and I feel like this, therefore, either there's a connection point or we need to do something different in order to get that connection point. The more you understand the person's feelings, not their thinking, not their behavior, the more you understand how they feel, the easier it is to change your behavior in order to support that feeling back to compassion, back to love, back to connection. And that may sound like drivel to some people listen here, but it's based in CBT, basic CBT. Feelings are the information by which we process our environments and our connections, our relationships. They are not waffle. They're just hard to understand.
And back to the feelings, because of course, I see everyone when they're at their crisis point. So of course, when you're talking about men and talking about their feelings, you know, suicide rate is at its highest with men, particularly in their sort of 40s and 50s. And there's still that culture that men can't talk about their feelings, don't want to talk about their feelings. It just doesn't feel right. And it's amazing to hear that you and your wife have these conversations, because I think years ago and even now, there's still so many people that don't even have those conversations. There's still so many men that will not talk about their feelings, that think everything, you know, no, it's all right. No, it's all right.
It all comes back to the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
We don't want to be rejected generally as human beings. But once you get to a point where you are comfortable with your own identity, then when that is rejected by someone else And I mean, it's truly comfortable with it. And it's very hard to actually be truly comfortable with who you are. You can accept rejection a lot easier. You know, you might want to go on a date with the hottest woman in the town, but you're like, she doesn't like guys who are 5'10". I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? It's and being able to accept rejection is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult, isn't it? And, you know, that is the basis for lots of people's anxiety. The reason why they don't do lots of things is that rejection, that fear of rejection. And I can totally see that and relate to that, because that goes with everything, with your work, with social media, even pushing yourself out there. And because I know with you, this is kind of a new journey for you, as in social media and stuff like that, because I know you do a lot of things online, and it's a vulnerability being online. You know, even doing these podcasts is a vulnerability. Even doing doing a silly little reel, you know,
feeling that's going to be taken out of context. Been there.
Doing a reel and things like that. Did I say something out of context?
No, me.
You're thinking about it, am I?
And mine's is my accent means that the auto-generated subtitles comes up wrong all the time.
Oh, I see.
It always think when I say school, it thinks I'm saying skill.
Oh, okay. I can see that now. Yeah, and it's that, you know, we're putting ourselves out there, and it's that fear of rejection. And I've had to get over that by doing these podcasts. This is part of my journey of pushing myself to do things that are really uncomfortable, is to the fit. I've got to get used to, oh, well, people are going to look at it and they're going to either like it or they're not going to like it. And I've got to leave that there.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've had negative comments, I've had positive comments, and that's all down to this fear of rejection.
But it's making sure that you hold on to those positive comments rather than letting the negative comments affect you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And so I wonder how do we get over that fear of rejection, I wonder? For me, it's more I push myself to do things that make me feel uncomfortable. But do you think that's the right way to do things? Should people be pushing themselves into uncomfortable situations? Because that's how I function, is I'm continuously pushing myself.
Well, if we're talking about intimacy, you only need a handful of intimate relationships to lead a fulfilling life, your partner being the primary one. And in your example of pushing yourself in the uncomfortable situations, to manage those relationships, absolutely, you have to sit in the uncomfortableness. Work relationships shouldn't be as big. You shouldn't have to do that. They can be friendly, but they don't have to be intimate. But your greatest well-being comes from your intimate relationships. So certainly with your partner, you have to work on vulnerability. You know, like I have plenty of associates. I ain't telling them my most vulnerable secrets, but I will tell my wife. And that's the way it should be. By being vulnerable, not without sounding too soft and woolly, and you're showing them the deepest parts of you. And if they can be accepted by the other person, then you automatically not only connect, but you have a shared identity in that they are supporting your most vulnerable parts, and you accept them for the most vulnerable parts.
Yeah.
And then that should be reciprocated. And when you say it like this, it's hard. How do I even engage in that? The easiest way to engage with that is write out a script first about how you want the conversation to go. You might even show it, if you're really nervous about it, show it to your partner. This is the script I want to go with. Leave the room, let them read it, come back in. Do you want to change any part of it? If you do, write it. I'll leave if you're that nervous. Then the second part is enter into a conversation around validation of feeling, not of truth, not of fact. You feel like this. I accept that you feel like this. I may disagree about A, B, and C, but I accept that you feel like that, and you may see it differently from me. And the third part is learning to disagree. You do not have to agree with your partner about everything. And that is okay. They have to accept that you may feel differently about something, and you have to accept that they feel differently about something. And where there's easy compromise, jump on it. And the last thing is allowing them to be an individual, allowing them to express themselves in a way that's different from you. My wife loves gardening way more than I ever will. I will help her every so often with it, but it's not an everyday thing. And she accepts that about me.
Yeah.
And likewise, she doesn't do things that I want to do, but she will, when I ask for feedback on something and she's like, okay, it's going to eat into my day a bit. She knows it's important for me. So she'll listen to one of my podcasts. She'll give me some feedback about it. And I go to her because I know she's honest.
Yeah. And that's really good advice. So I really like that. That very first step of writing it down and then letting that person, because, I've over the years found it very difficult to express my feelings on how I feel about something, probably because I don't quite understand them anyways. But writing it down, I find it much easier to write that down and then for somebody to read it. I suppose that's why I find writing much easier than actually talking, because it comes out of my brain to my fingers instead of then I have to then work out how I'm going to put that into words. And that's why I do so much writing. And writing has been a big thing for me all my sort of adult life. What about you, as in sort of when it becomes the men, with your ladies of our age, sort of menopausal ladies, sort of it's adding, we can do all of this, but then it's adding those really strong emotions on top of that, isn't it? Because I feel, like we were saying earlier, and I know we joke about it, there's lots of jokes about everything irritates you. You only have to, like, a person has to just, a breath in or a breath out, and you're like giving them the look because you say, oh my God, that was so loud. It's sort of, how can we get over that? How do you think we can sort of soften that a little bit within ourselves to not be so irritated, or is there a way of doing that, or is that just how it is? What do you think?
I think there are ways that you can, there are obviously, I think very often things like HRT can help support that and focus, and can help with anxiety. You've got lots of different herbal remedies as well, or different things that you could take to support there. And taking a breath, before you actually go rah and scream and shout. And I think also it's about like you're saying, talking. It's about making sure that your partner knows and saying, this is what I'm going through at the moment, and these are the symptoms, and it's because of this, and this is why, when I suddenly go crazy about something that I don't even know why I'm going crazy. The other day, I think it was the route he was taking driving me home, and it was like, why did that annoy me so much? But I was fuming, and there was no real reason for it. And I suppose me sort of like taking a moment to go, okay, why am I upset about this? I'm not really sure. However, naming it, almost naming that, I am feeling upset about it, and so then saying, I'm feeling really angry, and I don't really understand why. Please bear with me. Please just manage through this time. I think that can be really helpful. Because I think unless you share what the symptoms are, could be or the ones that you are dealing with, how on earth is your partner going to have any idea? If you're keeping it all bottled up, obviously that's as long as you're aware that you are actually having these symptoms. Because I think for many women, they're not. I think many women still don't understand that the cognitive symptoms are part of this time of their life and down to their hormones. And they'll go to the doctors and get antidepressants.
And I'm surprised as well, because I even heard a colleague at work and say, oh, I just think I'm going crazy. And I'm thinking, no, you're not. You're not going crazy. You're just, your hormones are changing. And, I can't get my words out and I can't think and things like that. I must be going crazy. No, you're not going crazy. But you do think you're going crazy. Totally. You think you're getting like an early diagnosis of dementia or something.
Which is really scary. And then you get that fear. So then you sort of like go into yourself a bit more or you go on, dare I say AI, whatever, and Google it, and then you can see all sorts of weird and wonderful things there. But I think also whilst we're talking about relationships, I think I want to bring in boundaries, because that's something that I do talk to my clients about and women about, because I think it's really important. understanding what our boundaries are, or putting boundaries into place. Like for many years, I was a yes person, yes, and feeling that was the right thing to do. Especially,
you mean boundaries for yourself?
Yeah.
As in how you interact with the world rather than the other way, how people interact with you.
Yeah. I think so, putting boundaries there so that you know what you are going to find acceptable and what you are going to for yourself. What you are now going to. Your values change, don't they? So it is. Yeah. I'm happy doing this, but I don't want to do that anymore. Or people. And so I also talk about, because we've all got it, that person that you spend time with and you come away and go, oh my God, that was really hard work. And the sap your energy people.
Energy vampire.
Yeah.
And you said values change. That's so true. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but in my own life, my wife laughs at me. And thank God she's such a patient woman. Because
for now.
Yeah.
A couple of years.
Thanks. But she says, well, such and such wants to meet up with us. I was like, I'm just not doing that. Just why not? It's like, I only have so much time in my life. I just want to be around people I like. So for those I hang out with, by the way, you know you're in the right. I'm accepting you for who you are.
I think you get much better at setting your boundaries as you get older, to the point where you have to have a little word with yourself because you're not actually going out and meeting anybody because everybody at the moment is irritating you.
I'm glad you went for a walk with me the other day.
They're also going to be those energy givers, the people that you spend time with who actually you come away from, that you're meeting with them and you're going, yes, that was fun. I enjoyed that. And it is about, life is short.
It is short, and you don't know when it's going to change.
And you won't be able to do things.
Exactly.
So you've got to make the most of it. And so why would you spend it with people that sap your energy or you don't actually particularly like very much, but you need to perhaps be with? So it's about making those changes. And I know it's not as easy as just saying, I'm going to stop seeing you because actually you sap my energy, especially if they're family. It might be harder. But
it might be easier.
Yeah. But I think you get what I'm trying to say. Actually, it's about looking at the whole relationships and like you're talking about as well, compromising in the work situation
and saying how you're actually feeling at that time. Whether I at the moment I'm just feeling irritated and I don't know why. I'm just irritated, and at least it gives them a sort of a heads up of like, okay, we won't mention.
But if that is the case, say, can we have this conversation later? That's fine.
Yeah.
If it's possible to have it later. I mean, maybe if you're called out to in a crisis, like, actually, Nettie, I'd like to have it now because my leg's hanging off.
That's right. Work relationship and sort of home relationship is very, very different.
Yeah, don't treat them the same way.
Yeah, no, you have to. Oh my gosh, yeah.
But no, some work relationships you can, like supporting schools. It's not always conducive to have the tricky conversations in the moment.
No.
And it's not always conducive to have it like at the end of the day when you know people are tired. It's like, how do we find the time to have this tricky conversation in a containing way?
Yeah.
The best leaders will find a way to do that. So it is work dependent, isn't it? Yours don't really have much choice.
No, we never get a chance to finish a conversation in our job.
Yeah.
Sometimes we want to start a conversation, sort of just have a chat or go to the office and have a chat with the managers about something. And then our radio goes off and then off we go. So then that always gets cut. And then you're out for the rest of the day and you'll never get back to station or get back and never finish that conversation. That happens a lot.
I can imagine.
And then you wake up in the middle of the night remembering that conversation and be going,
yeah, that's right. Then you ruminate over
it. And back we go again.
Yeah, back we go again. Over and over again. All right, that was a really interesting conversation again. Thank you so much. But I think we'll stop now.